Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Let's take a look at some updated Bears draft targets. We haven't done this in a few weeks. There's been some free agency moves. I wouldn't say the direction of the draft has changed that much. The needs are still pretty clear. O-line, receiver, corner are some of your top ones, but safety and defensive tackle, a couple of other ones as well. These are the picks the Bears have heading into this draft. And by the way, today's Bears draft targets primarily day two guys, so round two, round three. That's what the Bears have, those three picks at number 39, number 48, and number 71 overall. Chicago also has two picks in the fifth round and then a pick in round six. But today, these guys will primarily, really exclusively be all round two or round three guys. And by the way, bring Cohen back with a little Rumble rant. Appreciate the $5. After this segment, I'll be sure to read that. All right, if you're excited for the NFL draft, like this video, hit that thumbs up icon. If you're fired up for the draft this year, hey, it's only a couple of weeks away. Like the video if you cannot wait for the NFL draft to get here. All right, let's get into some Bears draft targets. Number one, a player that I mentioned in my most recent Bears mock draft, Kenyon Green, the offensive lineman out of Texas A&M. I think this is a plug-and-play starting guard in the NFL, which, quite frankly, is something that the Bears need because their offensive line needs more depth. They missed out on Ryan Bates, who would probably have started at right or left guard. You've got Cody Whitehair at left guard. He can play right or left. You've got Lucas Patrick, who's going to start at center. Kenyon Green, who's played both tackle and guard in college. I think he's more of a guard. Could come in and start right away. He could sneak into round one, but it's early mid-round two is kind of the range where I've seen him as well. I think at pick number 39, it makes a lot of sense. Treylon Burks, and I didn't get super unrealistic here with these guys. Like, I'm not going to mention Chris Olave or someone like that. And now I still think Treylon Burks will go in the first round. But there's been enough reports, enough rumors. I saw Pro Football Network mention that, hey, there's real buzz that Treylon Burks could slip out of round one. And if that's the case, I think he's a guy you really got to consider if you're Ryan Poles, if he falls to you at number 39 overall. Really good player. I'm telling you right now, if Arkansas didn't have him last year, they went 8-4 with him, they might have gone 5-7 without him. He made that big of a difference to that offense. They lined him up in the backfield. He played outside. He played slot. You can play him in a multitude of ways. I think he'd be a flat-out steal with the number 39 overall selection. I would like this quite a bit for the Bears. It gives you another weapon that you can just get the ball to in space. You can throw to him downfield. He can catch jump balls. People are obsessed. Oh, his 40-yard dash is like a 4.55. Watch the tape. He's running away from Alabama cornerbacks. He was spectacular for the Razorbacks. If he's there at 39, I think it's a no-brainer. Who is your dream draft target at the number 39 overall pick? I want to know from you guys down in the comments. Who would you select if you could get anybody that's at least somewhat realistic at number 39? Kyler Gordon, the cornerback out of Washington, is another player we're going to talk about. Now, this is probably a guy I'd rather have at like 48. I don't think the first player I would draft would be a corner, but I think 48 is very much in the realm of possibility. And the Bears need another outside corner, and that's what Kyler Gordon is. I think he could play nickel, but I think that he's a guy you would want to plug in at CB2 and start right away. Jalen Johnson's your CB1. Kyler Gordon would be your CB2. Tavon Young's your nickel. Boom, you're ready to go. Thomas Graham, Kendall Vilder, Duke Shelley, go compete for some backup jobs. And, maybe one of those guys pushes one of these starters. But I think you need one more corner. I like Thomas Graham and what I saw last year, but it was such a small sample size. I think you got to go out and get one more corner. We'll stay in the secondary. Jaquan Brisker, the safety out of Penn State, who absolutely just lights people up. I think he's a really good box safety, and I think he'd be a great fit next to Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson needs to get back to playing that center field roamer type of role. He's not a great tackler. Let him cover people. Let him be your coverage safety all the time. Jaquan Brisker, he can cover some tight end, slot guys, but he can also lay the wood in the box. That's what he likes doing, lighting people up. 63 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, so you see there he plays near the line of scrimmage quite a bit. Had a couple of picks as well, 5 pass breakups. It's not like his coverage skills suck, but he is a strong safety, make no mistake. And I think that's what the Bears need You got Eddie Jackson, you add Jaquan Brisker, DeAndre Houston-Carson, and Dane Cruikshank are your backups. You're set at the safety position. You get one more guy there, I think you're going to be in a good position. What is the bigger need in this secondary? Type CB for corner, type S for safety. I'll still lean corner, but I do think you need another starting caliber safety, and Jaquan Brisker would be just that. Next up is Abraham Lucas as we go through some Bears draft targets. I'm liking this kid more and more. Right tackle out of Washington State. He's kind of a fringe round 2, round 3 type of guy. I think he's being slept on. I like him better than Tyler Smith out of Tulsa. I think the technique is better. I think he could start right away at right tackle if you needed him to. I'm not saying he'd come in and be a beast as a rookie, but I think he's a guy that's an upgrade over Larry Borom. I think a lot of this, again, hinges on Jenkins and Borom and what polls in this front office view these guys as. Is Tevin Jenkins a starter? If the answer is yes, cool. Where does he start? Left tackle or right tackle? If it's right tackle, then Lucas probably doesn't make sense. But if they think he can play left tackle, then you bring in Abraham Lucas. I personally don't believe that Larry Borom will start this year. I think he needs more development. I think he could be a starter down the road, or at least a swing tackle or a swing lineman that can play guard or tackle. And look, I'm rooting for the kid. I think he did some good things last year, but kind of like Thomas Graham, I just don't think we've seen enough to say, oh yeah, we're comfortable with him starting. I'm not there. I think we need to add or see the Bears add more to this offensive line, and I think Abraham Lucas could be a starting right tackle as a rookie. I really do. Will Tevin Jenkins and Larry Borom start this year? I don't think the answer is yes. I'm typing in for no. I think one starts, and I think it's Jenkins. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Will both of these guys start for the Chicago Bears? Let's go to George Pickens. We're kind of bouncing around. It's not like we're hitting all the receivers at once. And let me be clear, there's other receivers I would draft in round 2. I couldn't list all 15 of them. I mean, there's a ton of them in round 2 or 3. But I kind of mixed it up, a couple of guys at some different positions. George Pickens has wide receiver 1 potential. I've said it before. I've said it again. I think he could be a number 1 receiver in the National Football League someday. I think he's got that upside. He's flashed that potential. He's also had some injuries. He's also been inconsistent. He played at Georgia, a team that didn't always air the ball out either, so I think that comes into play. The raw numbers don't jump off the page when he did play. But you plug him in, opposite of Darnell Mooney, you put Byron Pringle in the slot. I think that's pretty interesting. I think that's a trio that you can do some damage with and watch these 3 young guys grow together, especially Mooney and Pickens. I would like it. I really would. And then you find out down the road, is Mooney or Pickens your number 1? Who cares as long as one of them emerges? How about Kerby Joseph, a guy we haven't talked about a ton here on the show, but a guy that the Bears have met with, and he's a local kid out of the University of Illinois. I like him. 5 interceptions last year, 57 tackles, a couple of pass breakups, a couple of fumble recoveries. I think he's got positional versatility. I think he could play either safety spot. Maybe he's a strong safety at first, and down the road, maybe you don't keep Eddie Jackson. He could slide over. I think he's a really good round 3 option. I don't think he's a guy you would take at 39 or 48, but at 71, I think that's a player I like quite a bit at that spot. So, depending on what you do with your second-round picks, if you're flexible enough with your roster, taking a safety, I think, in round 3 is very much a possibility for the Bears. Now, speaking of Illinois, shout out your favorite college team. Maybe you are a member of the Fighting Brett Bielema's. I am a TCU Horned Frog, and hopefully we get back on track this year. Let us know who your favorite college football team is or where you went to college, too. It all applies right now. A few more guys here. We'll jump back to receiver, Alec Pierce, and I mentioned it earlier that I'm all aboard the Alec Pierce train, and it's leaving the station, so you better hop on board. I might take him over Pickens at this point. I really do like Alec Pierce. He is fantastic. We're good here, Jack. 17 yards a catch last year. I love that at 6'2", 6'3", 210 pounds, 8 touchdowns. Guys, he torched Notre Dame. The best team they played in the regular season before the college football playoff against Alabama. He had his way against the Fighting Irish. Big, physical, strong, fast. I love the combination. Good hands. I think he'd be a nice weapon for Justin Fields. Oh, yeah, look at that photo. Darian Kinnard, as we get back to more of a round 3 guy. I think at 71, that's pretty good value. Guard tackle flexibility, the offensive lineman out of Kentucky. Played some tackle in college. I think he's probably a guard, at least at first, in the NFL, which, hey, that works because you need a right guard. Maybe he has to compete with the Dakota Dozier or something like that. But again, hopefully Dakota Dozier is not starting. There's a reason I've left that spot blank because I do not want Dozier starting. But worst case scenario, if a guy like Kinnard comes in and is not ready, at least Dozier has started some in the NFL. But I think in round 3, Kinnard could be a good option. Let's go one defensive lineman, Logan Hall out of Houston. I just love the versatility. That's kind of a theme for me when I look at draft prospects. Can guys do different things? And I think, you see in recent years more and more guys with defensive versatility are just better players. I mean, you look at a guy like Micah Parsons last year with the Cowboys. His ability to play linebacker, edge, move around, drop into coverage. Logan Hall is like that on a front 4. He can play 3-tech. He can play edge. I think he can drop into coverage a little bit if you need him to. He's a fun player. He's dynamic. He can get after the quarterback. He can set the edge. He can play inside. He can play outside. I just like what he brings to the table. Energy guy. I think he fits the philosophies of what a Matt Eberflus wants to do in terms of being coachable and, playing every snap like it's your last. With Robert Quinn's future somewhat unknown, I mean, I still think there's a chance the Bears could trade him. You're going to need more guys on your front. Plus, you need defensive tackle depth. I don't think Hall's a full-time DT in the NFL. He's about 265, 270. That's a little undersized at that position, but he could slide in there on passing downs. I love the versatility. I think in round 2, that's a pretty good selection. Name a player that you want that I didn't mention on today's video. Who's someone I left out? Who's a player that I didn't get to? Just 10 players I mentioned today. Like I mentioned, there's a ton of other guys that would be in the mix. These are just the 10 guys I focused on.